real teachers, staying away from religious leaders who claim religiosity and piety and who are corrupt in their aqidah and in their understanding and interpretation of the deen. The Prophet ﷺ said, I have more fear of their impact on my ummah than the impact of Dajjal on the ummah. The Prophet ﷺ then used to make dua in his prayer. And you know, in your prayer you can make any dua that is transmitted from the Prophet ﷺ. And he used to say, Allahumma inni a'udhu bika min fitnati al-masih al-dajjal. Oh Allah, I seek your, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, I seek protection from the tribulation and testing times of the false Messiah. So this is the dua which we regularly make. If Dajjal appears, what do we do? This is an interesting question. The Prophet ﷺ told us a number of things we can do to gain protection. One of them is to memorize the first 10 verses of Surah Al-Kahf. The Prophet ﷺ told us that Surah Al-Kahf will help believers against the Dajjal, the first 10 verses. There are 5 areas that one can go to save himself from the fitna of Dajjal. 5 areas. All deserted lands, mountains or deserts. All deserted areas where there is no population. The Dajjal will traverse the populated areas, villages and towns. So one of the areas that one can gain protection from the Dajjal is to go into areas that are completely rural and completely away from population. One of the other areas the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, the masjid on Mount of Tur. One of the other areas the Prophet ﷺ mentioned is Mecca. The other area the Prophet ﷺ mentioned is Medina. In another hadith we are told that Masjid al-Aqsa also will be protected. Being inside the Masjid al-Aqsa will also protect you in Palestine against the Dajjal, these 5 areas. Let me tell you a beautiful hadith the Prophet ﷺ said. He said, whoever ever encounters the Dajjal should spit in his face. فَمَنْ لَقِيَهُ فَلْيَتْقُلْ فِي وَجْهِهِ. He should spit in his face and then he will not harm you. This is the hadith of the Prophet ﷺ. May Allah give us the courage. And increasing dhikr of Allah. Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Allahu Akbar, tasbih and takbir. Because the biggest test will be what? Hunger and thirst. And people will begin believing in him by seeing his activities, deceitful acts, which he will do with the help of the shaitans and magics that are really not reality. In reality, this really won't happen. He won't really bring people to life. This won't really happen. There is no haqiqah to this. So, not falling into that deceit of his due to hunger. And the way you do this is by making dhikr of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is why the Prophet ﷺ mentioned, I mentioned in the beginning, that the mother, the son will tie his mother. The brother will tie his sister. Because there will be hunger. They will run out to him to get food and thirst, and they will be impatient. Sign of impatience in women in the end of time. Alhamdulillah, I've tried to cover as much as I can on the story of the Dajjal. And this is not just a story, this is a reality. It's a phenomenon that will take place. It's part of our creed and belief that Dajjal shall exist. He will be among the Jews, and he will be a human being. He will not be a shaitan. He'll be among the human beings, not among the jinn. The topic of Dajjal is so vast that scholars have written books on this, just on the Dajjal. For example, Ibn Hajar al-Haytami wrote a whole volume just about the Dajjal, a whole book in Arabic. Hussam al-Din al-Halabi, a major scholar from Halab, Aleppo, north of Syria, he singled out a whole book on the topic of Dajjal. Now that we have, alhamdulillah, increased our knowledge and yaqeen, inshallah. But are we ready for that time? Are we going to be among the weak Muslims or among the strong and faithful? This is the time to know. This is the time to decide. This is the time to fix your ways. Are we really ready for the appearance of Dajjal? Are we going to be among those who are going to fall for his deception and then believe him? Many people will. But have we already practiced our nafs with the dhikr of Allah? Have we already engaged ourselves in the dhikr of Allah? Are we preparing? What, you think the Dajjal's going to come and you're just going to get your tasbih and you're going to say, Subhanallah, Subhanallah, Subhanallah. And it's going to work miraculously for you? Have we accustomed ourselves to dhikr? Are we making Subhanallah and Allahu Akbar regularly? Also, are we sitting in the gatherings of the ulama? Because this was one of the last minor signs before the emergence of Dajjal. People will move away from ilm and the majalis of ilm and the gatherings of knowledge. And there will be khiffa in deen, في خفة من الدين يخرج الدجال في خفة من الدين وإدبار من العلم. People will move away from the deen, and deen will be like a part-time pursuit. Like today we are Muslims for Ramadan. And then we don't know anything about Islam the remaining time of the year. And people will move away from the scholars of knowledge, from the circles of ilm. So think about those two things. The time of Ramadan is approaching. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Great gift from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to refreshen our iman and our yaqeen and our certitude, our dhikr and ibadah and recitation of the Quran. So there are two things. The Prophet ﷺ said, Dajjal will appear after people will move away from the deen. So we need to hold on to the deen. And Dajjal will appear when people will move away from the circles of ilm. We need to enter the circles of ilm. And inshallah, I know that a lot of brothers are doing work here. Alhamdulillah, the UK has been blessed. Everybody says this. We have a lot of ulama here and traveling ulama. God bless us, alhamdulillah, with their knowledge and their piety, their taqwa and their knowledge. Are we entering the circles of knowledge? Or are we a part of the preparation of the Dajjal's emergence? Think. Are we affecting that preparation? Are we becoming a part of the preparation for the emergence of Dajjal? Why are we? We should occupy ourselves in the circles of ilm. And we should occupy ourselves with ibadah, dhikr. The month of Ramadan is a month of reflection. Alhamdulillah, Mawlana Shaykh Munawwar Ateeq has invited me to speak here in the month of Ramadan. Inshallah, I shall fix the dates with him, and inshallah, I would love to come back to meet these beautiful faces, mashallah. Such a beautiful turnout, alhamdulillah. And a lot of brothers have put a lot of effort into this event, the students of Maulana and the brothers that study here. So this is the center of ilm in Nottingham. This is a center where you can benefit. We make dua that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala makes this a beacon of light for the people living in this town and for the people of the UK, inshallah. And make the scholars here, the students here, beacons of light and minarets of light and knowledge and of benefit for the Muslim Ummah living in this area and around this area. Jazakumullahu khairan wa akhiru da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen.
Jazakumullah khair to Shaykh Munawwar Ateeq. Inshallah, brothers, now we're going to be reading Salatul Maghrib. Don't go anywhere after Salah, inshallah, because there'll be a Q&A, and then inshallah after that will be food, inshallah. Brothers, the first question is, where is the area of Khurasan? And which lands or which parts does it include?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I did actually mention this in the talk. We are given two descriptions of where he will appear. One of the descriptions is he will appear from a place between Syro-Palestine and Iraq. That is general. Then we have a description that he will appear from Khurasan. And I mentioned that Khurasan is a northeastern province in Iran. It's in Iran. We aren't given any more specific detail of the exact place he will emerge. That is all we know from the Prophet ﷺ.
The question is, what are the signs that are already here for the Dajjal?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. I mentioned that the death of the Prophet ﷺ is the first sign of Qiyamah. Then the Prophet ﷺ said, when the first sign of Qiyamah appears, then the others will consecutively appear. Like a bead, when one falls from a string, all of the other beads fall behind it. This is the description we have in a hadith. So we know after the demise of the Prophet ﷺ, loads of other signs that appeared. The appearance of Mahdi is the first major appearance. So obviously there are a lot of little signs or minor signs, huge in their significance, but minor in, we call them al-alamat al-sughra, that have already appeared. And we are told about them in many ahadith. For example, in one of the signs the Prophet ﷺ gave was that people will lose respect for their parents. This is one of the signs. This is already common. People will follow their wives, for example, more than they will respect their mothers. For example, this is a specific description we are given in the hadith in Tirmidhi. We are told that people will be more loyal to their friends than their fathers. This is another very specific sign that the Prophet has given. And there are many other signs, the minor signs that about sins, for example, knowledge shall decline. The Prophet ﷺ said, al-haram, and people will not be ashamed of doing transgression, haram in public. These are the many signs that have already appeared, and there's many more we can count, many more. Is the Dajjal mentioned in the Quran, and if so, where is he mentioned? The Dajjal is not mentioned by name in the Quran Kareem. However, there are a number of verses that some scholars of tafsir say that allude to him. For example, in one of the verses, قَدْ جَاءَ أَشْرَاتُهَا, for example, they say here, أَشْرَاتُهَا, the conditions of it have come, may be referring to Dajjal. In another verse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala refers to him as a creation, khalq. So it's very ambiguous. He hasn't been mentioned very specifically, and it's only some commentaries that say that these verses are actually alluding to him. There are a number of reasons that scholars have given why isn't he mentioned in Al-Quran Al-Kareem, and one of the major reasons why he wasn't mentioned in the Quran Al-Kareem by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is because he isn't that worthy in the eyes or in the sight of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to be mentioned in Al-Quran Al-Kareem, because he will claim prophethood, and then he will claim divinity. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doesn't give him worth. So he's not even worthy of mentioning in the Quran. This is to abase him completely and give him a complete disrespect. Because the Quran is recited in the Taraweeh, so you will have to name him. You might say the Fir'aun is named, the Shaitan is named, and so forth, but to give specific disgust at him. This is one of the explanations. Specific disgust. Don't mention him, he's not even worthy of mentioning. So this is one of the reasons, Wallahu A'lam, and there are a number of other commentaries, but we should do with that. Can you explain the death of the Prophet ﷺ? I mentioned the Prophet ﷺ passed away and the demise. Yes, we believe that every soul shall taste death. Every soul, including the prophets, including the Rusul. Then the sister asked, or the brother, whoever this is, that what does it mean that the prophets are alive? The reply to that is that we believe that كُلُّ نَفْسٍ ذَائِقَةُ الْمَوْتِ, every soul, including prophets and messengers, shall die. They shall die, the janazah will happen, and they are buried. But then they are given an eternal life in their graves. This is what it means. So we don't deny the prophets died. We believe that the prophets died. Then what is the evidence for them being alive in their grave? Many evidences. There are mutawatir, narrated hadiths of the Prophet ﷺ at the highest level of authenticity. At the highest level of authenticity. For example, Imam Jalaluddin al-Suyuti wrote a whole book called Hayat al-Anbiya, Imba'ul Athkiya fi Hayat al-Anbiya, in which he gathered the proofs that the prophets are alive in their graves. Imam Al-Bayhaqi, before As-Suyuti, a major scholar of hadith, wrote a book called Hayat al-Anbiya. Another very famous scholar of hadith who wrote the Sunan Al-Bayhaqi. He's got a whole book called Hayat al-Anbiya, and many other ulama. You might say, what are the hadiths? There are many hadiths. One of them hadith is narrated by Anas radiallahu ta'ala anhu, and it has come to us in different narrations and different wordings. But one of the wordings is that the Prophet ﷺ said once to the Sahaba, أَكْثِرُ الصَّلَاةَ عَلَيَّ يَوْمَ الْجُمُعَةِ فَإِنَّ صَلَاتَكُمْ مَعْرُوضَةٌ عَلَيْهِ. On the day of Jumu'ah, increase reciting salam upon me. Increase reciting your blessings upon me, sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, or whichever form you use. Because your salat and salam is sent to me, or it is received by me. Then the Sahaba asked, أَلِمْتْ بَعْدَ الْمَوْتِ يَا رَسُولَ اللَّهِ, what about after your death? Will you not perish? Look at the answer of the Prophet. Look at the question. Will you not perish? I.e., will you not die, and then will you not perish into the soil? The Prophet ﷺ gave a reply. إِنَّ اللَّهَ حَرَّمَ عَلَى الْأَرْضِ أَن تَأْكُلَ أَجْسَادَ الْأَنْبِيَاءِ. Indeed, Allah has forbidden it for the earth to consume the bodies of the prophets. وَالْأَنْبِيَاءُ أَحْيَاءٌ فِي قُبُورِهِمْ The Prophets are alive in their graves, yusalloon, they are praying salah.